with more. Fox News contributor and media and politics columnist for The Hill, Joe Concha. Great to see you, Joe. All right, so, remember when Democrats' favorite water cooler topic of conversation was how the president won the election due to Russian disinformation? I guess that claim didn't age all that well.
No, it hasn't. And, if this was a movie, we call it After the Fact, Julie, right? Because the central character in all this has been Russia ever since 2016 in that election. So, for instance, there was Russian collusion between Trump allies and the Kremlin. No, that never happened. There were Russian bounties on U.S. troops and Trump ignored it. No, that never happened. And now, Russian bots, the Russians in general, through Twitter, through Facebook, impacted the 2016 election to the point it got Donald Trump over the finish line. And now we know there's no evidence around that. The problem here is all this reporting had a tremendous impact in terms of the minds of Democratic voters, for example. YouGov did a poll after the 2016 election, and they found that nearly 7 in 10, Julie, 7 in 10 Democratic voters actually believe that Russia did get Donald Trump elected. Talk about election denial. That was the original process, and given all the reporting that was going on, it was hard to blame some voters for coming to that conclusion.
Exactly, because the mainstream media pushed that exact narrative every single day, and if you didn't actually know your stuff, you would believe it to be true. The new study that you're referring to, it suggests that the effect of Russian disinformation in the 2016 election was overhyped. Democrats claimed it helped propel Trump to victory. There's an NYU study that finds this. Only 1% of Twitter users accounted for 70% of those exposed to Russian troll accounts. Highly partisan Republicans were exposed 9 times more frequently than non-Republicans. And last but definitely not least, the study found disinformation had no measurable impact on voter attitudes or behavior. Why do you think that is?
Well, it's pretty logical. I mean, let's think about this for a second. You're going to vote in 2016, and your choices are Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. You want to talk about a contrast in policy, in style, in swamp versus non-swamp. You want to talk about all the differences between these people, and you really think some bots or a couple of ads on Facebook is going to make people change their minds from Hillary Clinton to Donald Trump? It is just, there's no logic, and there never has been any logic, yet the reporting went forward because it generated clicks and it generated ratings, and now we're not going to see any apologies from the Washington Post or New York Times editorial boards, or all the people like Rachel Maddow that pushed this on MSNBC, or all the folks on CNN. We're not going to see it. We're already past it, and let's move on.
I mean, do you see a theme here? Whenever Democrats want to blame anything, they blame Russia, right? I mean, they blamed Russia for Trump winning the election. Now the president blames Russia for our gas prices and all our other economic woes here in this country. I guess we should talk to Putin and ask him what to do with the documents that they just found in Delaware. Maybe he planted them.
Yeah, perhaps, right? And the thing is, Russia has what? An economy the size of New York State, right? We see their military is like the Vermont National Guard when it comes to them going into Ukraine. So Russia, who was portrayed as being this most powerful enemy, the #1 country we should keep an eye on, turns out Mitt Romney was right? That no, it's not Russia as our #1 enemy. It clearly is China as our #1 adversary. And guess who may or may not be compromised in that country due to his son's shady dealings with influence peddling there? The name is Biden.
Yeah. Okay. I want to talk about that potential gas stove ban burning up the news this week. No pun intended. We've been seeing days of backlash, obviously, and brutal ridicule after the Consumer Product Safety Commission floated the ban due to health and environmental concerns. Well, the White House really wants to go away. He wants to get as far away from this issue as possible. Watch.
I ask about this gas stove thing that kind of bubbled up yesterday. Does the White House think gas stoves are safe?
I am not looking to ban gas stoves, and the CPSC has no proceedings to do so.
Okay, so they did support it, but now they're backpedaling, of course. But even if the White House doesn't support the ban, some liberal celebs seem to. Actors like Mark Ruffalo tweeting, "We love our induction cooktop," in addition to not burning gas in the house. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez also mocking conservatives' criticism. Watch.
I do think it's funny, the absolute utter Republican meltdown where they're like, "You can take my gas stove or my cold dead hands." or how dare you talk about gas stoves? You have a gas stove. First of all, I rent, period. Second of all, though, it doesn't even matter, because by that logic, these are the same people who would have said we should have never gotten rid of leaded gasoline.
An op-ed arguing banning gas stoves and going electric only is part of left's agenda. Okay, I do believe that those stoves that they're trying to advocate for, Joe, are really expensive. Yeah. And I do believe that electric cars are really expensive. And this seems to be the way of the Democrat and the liberal elite. You know, they don't want to spend money. They want no taxes on the middle class, but yet they do want you to spend more money to save the environment. Which is it? It's a lot of conflicting messages coming from the left.
Let's label this segment the logical segment, Julie, because we seem to be common sense people, right? And in this case, look at what California wants to do. By 2035, they will not sell anything but electric cars in that state. And you think about, okay, let's say I'm single Joe for a moment and I live in an apartment complex in Los Angeles. How exactly am I charging my car? And oh, by the way, at last check, there's a lot of traffic on I-5 and other highways around Los Angeles and San Francisco and San Diego. So let's say my charge runs out. What do we do then? So again, it's all these aspirational dreams of let's go green, but there's no logic behind how you get from point A to point B. And meanwhile, energy prices are still far higher than they were 2 years ago. So the time to do this transition certainly is not warranted. And again, how do you do it? You could talk about why it's so great, but until you answer the how, don't even bring it up at this point. And AOC, by the way, can anybody sound more like a
ridiculous
sophomore on Instagram than she does? I mean, pass some legislation, which you've never done in your career. It's just, after a while, it's like, what are these people doing? I mean, I thought they're supposed to be passing laws and getting things done, but she just seems to play on social media all day.
I know. I think she's trying to play to the young people who are out going to go now and believe this and go buy induction stoves that they can't afford. Anyway, Joe Concha, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming on.
I will see you tomorrow, I believe, right on the big Saturday show at 5 p.m. Eastern
Yes, we'll be watching.
Time.
Absolutely.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.